Hi, fifth graders. Today we're going to talk all about estimating decimal quotients. And estimating decimal quotients is important for two reasons. First, we already know that we can use estimation to help us decide if our answer is reasonable and if it's close to what it should be. That's always a good reason to estimate. But we can also use estimation for decimal quotients because it can help us decide where the decimal point needs to go. And there are two types of decimal quotients that we might need to estimate as we're working. The first is when our dividend is greater than our divisor. This means our answer is going to be bigger than 1 because what we're splitting apart is more than what we are splitting it apart by. In other words, we could look at an example like $144.15 divided by 31. So let's take a look at how we would approach that. First, we're going to look at our divisor. So again, I'll look at $144.15 divided by 31, and I'll use the same rule as we used with whole numbers. In other words, if it's a single-digit number, I'll keep it the same, but if it's a two-digit number, I'll round it to the nearest 10. Since my divisor in this question is 31, I'm going to round it to 30 because that's the nearest 10. That means I can use the friendly number 3 to help me estimate. Next, I'll change my dividend to a number that's close to a multiple of my new divisor. And again, I'll start by boxing those first two digits and looking at the 14. So if I'm using the friendly number 3, because I'm rounding to 30, I know that the numbers 12 and 15 are multiples of 3 that are really close to 14. So since it's not just 3 and 14 that we're looking at, it's 30 and 144, that means I can make estimates of $120 on the lower end and $150 on the higher end. Next, I can divide to get our estimate. So $120 divided by 30 is 4, and $150 divided by 30 is 5, which tells me that my quotient or my answer will be between 4 and 5. So that helps me get a sense of about what my answer will be, and it also reminds me that I'm going to have a whole number answer first before the decimal part. Now let's take a look at the second type. This is when our dividend is less than our divisor. So for example, I have 3 and 2/10 divided by 5. Now this might be a change for us because all along in our math career, we have always had the dividend greater than our divisor. But now that we're dividing using decimals, we could end up with our dividend less than our divisor. All that means is that our answer is going to be less than 1. So let's take a look at how we would do this. First, I'll look at my divisor again. So I'll write 3 and 2/10 divided by 5. If it's a single digit number, I'll keep it the same. Two-digit numbers get rounded to the nearest 10. Since I'm dividing by the single digit 5, I'll keep that the same. Now I'm going to change my dividend to a number that's close to a multiple. For now, I'm going to ignore the decimal point. So I'm still going to look at both parts of the 3 and 2/10, but I'm going to pretend like it's 32, because that way I can come up with multiples that are really close to 32. If I'm skip counting by 5, I know I could get to 30, or 3 and 0/10, or 35, 3 and 5/10. This will give me a lower estimate and a higher estimate. Now I'm going to divide. So 30 divided by 5 is 6, and 35 divided by 5 is 7. But I know that I wasn't using 30 and 35. It was really 3 and 0/10 and 3 and 5/10. So that means I need to put my decimal point back into my quotient. I do that by counting the number of digits after the decimal point in my dividend. In 3 and 2/10, I had one digit after the decimal point. That means I want one digit after the decimal point in my quotient. So that means I'd place the decimal point back one space, which means my quotient is going to be between 0 and 6/10 and 0 and 7/10. And that makes sense because when we're dividing by a number that's greater than our dividend, our answer is going to be less than 1. So that's a quick overview of how we would estimate decimal quotients. We'll do lots more practice with this, especially when the dividend is less than the divisor, but hopefully that gave you a quick overview of the two different types of questions. Thanks for watching.